What is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. I hope you guys are doing well. As you can see, the trades down here over on BYDFI. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Good realized profits over on this exchange. Got some over on another exchange too. What's up, Carlton Way? Yeah, I mean, I would say we'll talk about the bull trap. Yeah, 100%, man. Like previous cycles, 100%. I mean, I'm sure there will be some type of curveball, or there could be a curveball that could be different, but we'll definitely see what happens. Talk about that in just a second. So here are the trades right here. Let's get into okay. So a couple moving averages that we ought to look at. I mean, obviously the daily is probably the biggest one that I would look at for rejections. By the time we hit it, maybe 102, 103, somewhere around there. And I think that would be one of the first places where you could reject. And the same thing would probably be said about ETH, 3,600. That's kind of that big area, 35, 3,600. So right there. Now, 50 weekly is pretty significant as well. People like the 50 weekly, including myself. You lost it, over here. Now you're, it's kind of becoming, or excuse me, you lost it over there. Or no, I'm on the wrong. Sorry about that. You lost it. Yeah, you lost it right there. You went down, bounced off of it a lot of places, pretty good, situation. Here you went slightly above it, and then in this bear market you hit it exactly in July. So July to end of March, that's 3-4 months earlier, and then here's, what are we in right now? January. So 3, about, let's see, February, March, about 3 months earlier, give or take. And that sits at around 101. So, I would hope we'd at least make it up to 100K again. There could be a pretty decent sell-off at 100K. I could see that. And that would get pretty damn bearish. That'd be your bull trap right there. You got to catch them bulls. You know what I mean? That would be, that would be kind of what I'd be looking at, right there. That kind of rejection. So that would be the first place. I think take profits, 101, 100 could be good areas, especially with this weekly going into the gray EMAs right here. I uploaded a video yesterday for you guys that I thought was like really good, kind of talking about, where I would look to, get back into Bitcoin. I've talked about it a while, as probably a lot of you guys have known, but, these EMAs in the 3-day turning bright again. And that's, you would probably have to get up to like 108, 110, 115, wherever, for that to happen, I would argue. For that to happen, and that would get more bullish, and I would try to run this thing up to 150K, 200K, 160K, whatever, bigger poison. What's up, Johnny M? Yeah, so there's that. I would say that this is probably your worst case scenario would be rejecting from your 50 weekly moving average, which is right around 101. Probably by the time you hit it, maybe 100, and then I mean, daily 200, or we could go to the 200. Yeah, let's go to the 200 here. Daily 200 would be right around 105 right now. So yeah, but yeah, the 100K mark would be pretty significant. I would see people getting excited at 100K. I want to look at, let's see. I want to look at. Oh, it's pretty funny. It's got a lot of upvotes. I'm just being facetious here a little bit, but it's like, it's kind of like when you see posts like this, and for all I know, this could be this could be completely right, but it's just like, man, I feel like you're a billionaire at this point. Like you're worth hundreds of millions, I feel like, and it's just like I just like to mess with people sometimes. Nothing against that, but yeah, and then here's the. I wanted to show you guys a cluster. We were talking about a cluster, and then somebody talking about a bunch of TA stuff on Because Bitcoin earlier, Twitter Spaces, and somebody goes, "You guys sound like a bunch of idiots." And I forget who said that, but it was pretty funny. But here's kind of the cluster. I would say if you were to, break above the cluster, hold these areas, things get more bullish, especially like 115 with 16K right there. And that's probably where I would get back in if we do, get that high. I don't think we will, but. We'll see what happens. I think Powell is going to knock us down. I think, let's look at silver too, which is just going absolutely parabolic. I think at this point, and I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. I was kind of saying it back here that, that 83, that 72 was going to be your top or whatever. I was probably bearish back here too, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't remember, but, maybe 113, but I think we're getting close. I think it's just Powell. Once Powell comes on, knock it down. I mean, I think all of us kind of missed out on silver a little bit, but the thing here now is like looking at silver versus gold. Like, you know what I mean? That's all the. Let me zoom out, really zoom out here, because it's got to be like a huge, silver versus SPY is in a huge area too, but it seems like this just keeps keeps going. I don't know. I mean, that area is pretty big. I mean, I would be more for metals. I would go into gold, maybe uranium. I like energy right now. If you guys haven't noticed by the title of this, I do like Oxy. I think that's kind of undervalued. That could jump up quite a bit. And I think that may outperform, probably metals for the next 6 to 8 months or whatever. Even emerging markets. People talk about emerging markets, but I think Oxy may outperform them too. This may come down. It's hard to say, but that's what I'm kind of looking at there. Let's see. So that's kind of there. And then if we look at, I mean, it's kind of repetitive with others versus Bitcoin. I think this generally can keep going up here. Just got to pick the right altcoins, you know what I mean? And I mean, a lot of them can, come down, assuming Bitcoin and ETH do, but I don't think it's, I think the good ones are going to hold up pretty well. I will say that. Ethereum on the, daily? Yeah, I mean, the big place right there. And then if we do reject from that, let's assume we reject from that, 36 or whatever, down, I don't know, 50%, that's 1,800. That's my guess. That's my guess next 4 to 6 months, down to these points, and then hopefully, keep going upward from there. This chart looks a little messy. Maybe take away some of the SR points, but they're important, they're important, I would say, most of them. So, yeah, and ETH versus Bitcoin, I think that'll generally, continue to go upward. So, even throughout this, downward trend, slowly but surely. Tesla, I mean, traditional markets were down today as I think oil and energy stuff was up. So, I think that's going to be probably the theme for next 4 to 6 months, probably. I think you'll see that a bit. I think Tesla will generally go down. Triple Q. I mean, I was discussing it with a few people earlier. My view is that this is gonna. I mean, let me just see if we can map this out here a little bit. I mean, something like this was kind of my guess. If you gradually, slowly go down, maybe down to 18%. It depends. How long is it gonna? I would think Q4, if you're going to make a new all-time high this year. I mean, it could take longer, maybe into 2027. I would think something like this. I mean, let's get some I want to look at some end of decade, potential, tops for this or whatever. Ooh, isn't that like clockwork? That was one of the points. And then a higher point would be around 900. And let's zoom out just a little bit here and see what we can do. If we're looking at end of decade, yeah, I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility. 77% up seems a little bit high though, maybe less. Yeah, I would say that my high point would be like 700-800 for this or something by end of decade. A few years away, obviously, but yeah. Anyway, guys, if you're interested in taking some of these trades, FOMOing into some of these longs or whatever, getting up to 100K or whatever, these points, check out or trying to short these points. I think the 50, weekly moving average could be a good place to obviously look for shorts, as a lot of you guys probably would presume. So, yeah, if we look at, what's up, Decrypto? I like that name. BYDFI and BloFin, look at BloFin. This one ends in 2 hours, I think. What is UTC? That may have ended. I don't know. If you guys look up UTC, these both end the same day. Oh, 10:59. I don't know if that's Eastern though, or whatever. I think you're still okay for this one. So deposit 20K, get 2,000. 20% for fees for life with my link, as you can see right here on BloFin. Same thing on BYDFI as well. Check it out if you guys are interested. Links down below. Pinned comment. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing I'm looking at. I think people, are still pretty apathetic about crypto. I want to look at fear and greed. just want to see quickly. Yeah, I don't think. I think at first it was Canada, now it's Greenland. I mean, Canada, obviously Greenland's more probable than Canada, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think these are kind of getting to the sell signals a little bit on gold and silver, but we'll see. XMR2 is that's hitting a big point, so be cautious. I would argue. It makes higher highs every freaking bull market. I mean, this is the very delayed version compared to everything else, but that sometimes these fibs don't lie, guys. That rejection from there. So we'll see what happens. It'll probably retest the range, make a higher high or something. We'll see. But yeah, and if we look at, I don't know when the tariff decision's gonna come. We'll see what the hell happens with that. I think that's a tough one. That's a tricky one. I'd say that's 50-50. That could go either way. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I want to look at, here we go. Fear and greed, neutral, but I would say anything 100K plus is going to be technically in the greed. The last time you went into the greed was right here, and you kind of rejected. That was kind of around the all-time high. So keep that in mind, especially, bear market situation. You reject from that point. So keep that in mind, I should say. So yeah, and wanted to look at, I looked at the triple Q. I want to look at the SPY. Definitely want to look at the SPY a little bit. Textbook clean. I was talking about this point right around 700, just below that fib level. Textbook. That is textbook. Kind of aligns with the FOMC meeting coming up. And then this one's a little bit easier to project than the NASDAQ. I would say 13%, maybe down to these lower levels, maybe 20. I would guess 13, and NASDAQ would be 20 or something. So if you look at, that's it says situation. Let's say it's May or June or something. Coincides with new Fed chair coming in. I don't know. Something like that. January. I would say Q4 if I had to guess. Those areas. And then if we're looking at, it'd be interesting if this is like the same price as the NASDAQ by the end of the decade. I don't know. Some situation like that, if you were to follow, which he normally does, maybe 900, maybe a little higher. I don't know. It would be kind of even. I wonder what that would equate to for, let's just say from where you are right now. That's 30% upward there. How about and Berkshire's doing, I think this can, continue to outperform the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. This isn't loading, but a little bit, half bonds. But I think if we look at this itself, and I think it's the race to see, can Buffett live to see this at $1 million a share, 740 right now. What was that jump for S&P 500 by end of day? Yeah, it's 30%, so 10%, give or take, 5 to 10% a year. 26, 27, 28, 28, 4 years, so maybe one bad year in there, probably this year. And then BRK, well, it sounds like you're saying Burger King a little bit, but here's that million. There we go, 37. You may outperform a little bit. 36, it's a fib level right there, right around $1 million, 37%, So if we were to, I don't know, come down a bit here, go to these peaks or whatever, I don't know. 20%, let's say. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe less. I would hope less, but there you go. 28, 29, something like that. And so I would say follow that moving average. Weekly 200, weekly 200. That area right there. That's what I would guess. I know some people probably be bored with that, but it's what I like to look at, guys. I'll tell you, it's what I like to look at. So, that's that. What I will say. And trying to think what else here. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of that upward for Bitcoin. In terms of, I don't know, trying to trade this right now. I mean, I wouldn't be going short, but sit in the swing longs a little bit, trying to go for the next, kind of take profits here. Let me always set your stop losses to entry point. Now, what was this? 88.5 was that stop loss. What's my entry? 91.098. No, 098. And yeah, this one as well, 31111. So yeah. Okay. There you go. And yeah, so we got those. I'm gonna do kind of next take profits would be for ETH, I would say 34, right around 35, and then 36. For Bitcoin, it would be right around 100, and then 102, I guess, 108, you know, those areas. So yeah, I guess that would be the main, you know, kind of situation there. Kind of looking at, you know, those potentially coming down. I want to put on, it's been a minute, but let's try to attract something here. 528 hertz, copyright free, which was the best one there. And Brent Carter, 67 people watching. Here's Saw, I gotta check out what he's talking about too. For yeah, 1,000. I wonder what is 1,000 a month back then. That was 4 years ago. That's probably like 1,500, 2,000 a month now, I would say. Yeah. What's up, Michael? Let's see. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, 520 hertz, copyright free. I want to put on a little bit of something to, you know, listen to. Okay, cool. And been a second since we put those on, but yeah, I mean, is what it is. You know, we're looking at this. I'm probably gonna try to get more aggressive with the trading going forward, but yeah, for now, kind of just, I know the swing trades are a little bit boring, but you know, I think it's the easiest way for most people to become profitable, at least in my, you know, my opinion, my humble opinion here. Been working on the shoulder, working on that serratus anterior, and trying to really breathe and activate muscles that should be activating here. All that, some care, some don't, but yeah, I mean, it's a long time coming to fix this issue with these shoulders, especially that left shoulder, but it's getting, you know, these shoulder cars are getting a little bit better here. That was pretty smooth, so you gotta have that going and get that mobility kind of that I haven't had most of my life really, or any part of my life until now, back. But you know, you could really accomplish things. You know, that your body is, you know, I guess as you get older, it could get a little bit tougher. But you know, you push things a certain way enough times, and it gets locked in. You know, it really does. You know, you could really manipulate things. That I would say. But yeah, this point here, I think Occidental Petroleum's got it going on. That 50, I would hope for something in the 50s, back to that 200 weekly. Energy too, I want to look at Exxon. Yeah, easily, yeah. This could be a good, because this did pretty well, come on. Into, yeah, all the way. I mean, there's always a bull market somewhere. This was the main thing to be in, end of 21. Really since Biden won. Yeah, I remember, I mean, right when frickin', yeah, Crypto Face called that so well. Because you would have really killed it. I mean, yeah. And then, I mean, I don't think you're going to get that type of thing again, but, you know, maybe 200, maybe, if everything goes, I mean, I don't know if that's going to become a $1 trillion company, but, you know. I think Oxy may, let me look at this versus, yeah, Oxy may, you got these points there, I don't know. It may I would hope it would outperform it, I don't know. forget what's the other like there's Chevron too, right? I don't even know the Chevron ticker. But yeah, I don't know. It's bled a little bit against those. I think Oxy would be a little bit of the riskier situation, but big area there. We'll see what happens. Buffett's got it, so you know. If you know, you know. But yeah. But I always appreciate you guys smashing the like button. Check out the Discord down below. We did a live chat with some of you guys. Good conversation. We got Nightshade in the Discord. We got K-Mac in there. He's been busy lately. Let's see. We may have a new addition. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah. I'm trying to think. The thing too here is, so let's just look at, I think the poly market's a little bit, better if we do like Fed interest rates or whatever. Obviously no change this month. I think it's pretty obvious in 2 weeks that's going to knock us down, I'll tell you. But March is, 66, most likely no cut. I mean, yeah, 71, no change. So no cut until the man's gone, I would guess, presume. That's what I would say, no cut until he's gone. But yeah, I mean, there's that one, and then we've had a few other of these. So let's see. I just want to see. Let's look at Coin Gecko. Let's see if anything is brewing here. And there's stuff brewing. First, I want to look at some NFTs. If they are seeing anything, I always try to look at the mutant apes. Yeah, up to 3,000. So ETH evaluation, below an ETH, so not too bueno, obviously, but good week for it. Definitely a good week, but I don't know. I think it will reject with a lot of other things, but maybe it's different. Maybe 2026 is. I know some people really think that 2026 is the year, and I mean, who knows? It could be, man. I don't know. But 20K for a Bored Ape, 100K for CryptoPunk. There's that situation. 7, I've never heard. XMRs, obviously, Internet Computer. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is pumped up fun. Let's look at Solana. That's a good one to look at. I think Bitcoin dominance generally will trend downward. That doesn't mean the markets, it doesn't mean every alt's going to go up on its USD pair. Though Solana coming up a bit, I think the main thing that I've talked about in this was, the daily, potentially 170, that kind of area. Maybe, I don't know if you're going to get that high. I want to look at the weekly 50 here, I guess. Weekly 200 is 103. Now, if we look at the weekly 50 here, right there, yeah, this one could jump up. Some of these could jump. I mean, 160 is not that far away from 146. You know what I mean? That ain't that far away. If we look at the weekly here, yeah, you've been in the gray for a minute, man. That's not the best situation. That 3-day, still in the gray. I don't even know. That 160 is not going to be enough to get that back in the bright, I don't think. Maybe you'd start a little bit, but not there. Let's see. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, so we're looking at that one there. Internet Computer I wanted to look at. I mean, that's probably just that's not something most people care enough about. Yeah, nice jump. I mean, I don't think this will come to much, but we'll see. This thing looks ugly in all sorts of ways, but it's getting a jump, so hopefully it comes back. Polygon, take a look, see there. Well, deep wave on the 2 week, but I don't know how much more she's gotten her. That don't look too good in the 7 hour. I think she could stay sideways, but she'll probably come back down, in my opinion. Cardano I wanted to look at. Definitely wanted to look at that. Coinbase here. 41 cents, so yeah, not too much brewing. I mean, that does look like a generally bullish kind of structure. Higher low is good. Higher low is definitely good. I'm surprised that, yeah. Weird how, let me just move this one, because we don't really need, if you move that there, here's the interesting part. Let's say you top around, yeah, I don't know, 45, maybe a little 47 would be back down to those lows. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say, but yeah. There's that 23-cent area. But yeah. Reverse head and shoulders, so maybe 54. Yeah, that's the thing too. Maybe 54 and then only a 40% drop back down to here. That's possible. That's definitely possible. Everything kind of, it's interesting how a lot of things bottomed out in like December 31st, like the exact end of, 2025. But yeah, interesting there. And yeah, I mean, there's that. So I think we're going to get some of these corrections. I mean, the thing too is, yeah, sometimes it's probably not going to be as bad as that one, but yeah. There's that. I want to look at, let's look at what else is on Poly. That I think is kind of 50-50. I would probably bet, I think it's a better bet to make. I mean, I have no idea, but I think it's a better bet to make that this Supreme Court does rule in favor of Trump here. I feel like they're taking their time, which is going to be more better, I guess. I think the pump probably is a bull trap. I would think otherwise until we break, past 108, 110, those areas. If I'm going to get back in, probably it's going to be around 115. That's what I will say. Depending on how that those 3-day EMAs look. So yeah, Kevin Warsh. JD Vance is still favored here. Number 3's got, oh wow, people think Rubio. That'd be a wild card. Not OC. Shapiro, and then these ones. I mean, people are still thinking Trump's gonna. How much would he win if you put? Yeah, you kind of get diminished returns, 1,000. Yeah, just not enough. Not a big enough book, but yeah. But yeah, no, I do think this pump is a bull trap, bro. But we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see. I think that oil's not necessarily oil, but energy has got a good shot. I think that gold and silver will be knocked down by Powell. I think there is going to be some inflation concerns creeping. If we look at true-flation, it's probably really low there. But let's see, true-flation. True-flation. Probably low, but yeah, I mean, oh, they don't even let you, I gotta log in or whatever now. They changed their whole thing. Damn it. It used to be like free or whatever. Get started for, yeah, they want you to, yeah, okay. That's not gonna work. But the thing too, I want to look at like US unemployment. Hurt my index finger somehow, weird. Kind of like swelling up, so it's like hurting when I'm typing. Right there. I think it will kind of reject from that point, come down a bit, maybe a bit more. Yeah. It does look bullish on unemployment, but I think in terms of, and I think I marked out most areas where the recession's kind of January, and then it was 2001. I think it's going to be more like 2030 in terms of this, probably. That was there, 90, I think too, when this peaked out, what's interesting, like, this was always a good place. When this peaks and starts to come down, it was always a good place to get into real estate. Probably the stock market as well, generally, but always a pretty good place to get into. Here, kind of, here's a little weird, but I mean, you gotta wait, but 93, pretty good. This was 82, yeah, it was in Reagan. They just wanted to get inflation down there, and then you had the 70, you had it 2 times in the 70s, yeah. Marked it out pretty much every time. I mean, obviously, yeah, this doesn't go back far enough, but you had a little bit in the 50s. Was that a recession? I don't even. That probably was something along those lines. You got high in the 60s there, and they came down, and it wasn't. So it was interesting. I think that you're trying to avoid that, and you probably will for a while, I would say. You probably will. I think yeah, in terms, I mean, we're not. Yeah, because it could be like one of the. I mean, you're already at 6, and then yeah, 4.4. I don't know. I saw some rate cuts. I mean, I think the U.S. economy as a whole is just, going to slowly kind of deteriorate, but it's going to take some time. Real estate futures, I think this could be one of those years where real estate, I don't know if it's going to really do much, but it'll probably hold up well against the S&P 500. I would argue. This isn't doing much at the moment, but up a little bit. We'll take it. So, yeah. That's kind of what I'm looking at there. Silver, trying to jump up to one something, yeah. But yeah, I mean, to summarize, I think we're going to keep going up. Lower time frames look pretty good. I mean, what trade could you do right now? Probably try to one of these trigger waves up higher. You could get there this week, this Wednesday, 2 more days for this week, and then we'll see what happens. May end this one a little bit earlier today. So yeah, here's BloFin. If you guys are interested in trading, I think this ends really soon. See if you can get in this. I don't know. You may have a few hours. I don't know what time zone this is on. Asia's ahead, so if this is Asian time zone, then you're okay. But they're good deposit bonuses, so check it out. If you guys are interested, pinned chat. So yeah, what else was I gonna say here? You're hitting your 12-hour 200, so maybe a little bit of resistance. But you're above there and you're 6, yeah. So yeah, you're changing directory, changing momentum a bit. We'll just gotta see, can we break up higher than these points? I think that's a big question. Is something different happen this time? It doesn't really look like it too much. I mean, this could be the last bullish week for all I know. Because this weekend's 17th, or excuse me, 16th, and then you get a week or two before Powell. See whatever he has to say. Curious about what Fox Business is writing about at the moment. Let's see here. Okay, oil. Beef prices soar. That is like 17%, man. They don't want you to eat beef. They really don't. Especially in the U.S. They don't want you to eat eggs or beef. I think that's done purposely. It seems like it's done purposely. There's no rhyme or reason. They just don't want you to. They don't want you to be strong, man. I mean, I think it's kind of. I mean, I know I sound very conspiratorial when I say that, but it's kind of my theory here. Because there's just a cattle versus SPY here. Okay, so it's still bled against the SPY, but past few years, I mean, consolidation. I mean, this could keep going up. I don't know though, but yeah. Anyway, I think I'm probably gonna get going, guys. It's been on almost 40 minutes. Those cattle here. Just want to see if there's. Yeah, they blame it on drought, weather, all that. But I mean, I don't know. Other countries. Well, cattle's expensive. I mean, steak's expensive almost everywhere except Argentina. Which that could be a good place to buy a cattle farm. But yeah, I don't know. U.S. national debt. I mean, yeah, so much for Doge. Probably helped out a little bit, but That's it. Did he actually admit to this? Let's see. One time, 5% Wata. Yeah, so he's getting more moderate, wanting to win the presidency, which he might. I don't think. Who's they? A lot of people. I mean, who's they? That's a great question, man. I would say the people with a lot of power and a lot of money. The people with a lot of power and a lot of money. I would say. I mean, people in control, the money that makes the, traditional media, the people that funded all the studies that told you saturated fat was bad for you. It was actually funded by the company that makes Oreos, I think, and they made those like things that Oreos like lower cholesterol, so you should eat more Oreos. That's who I mean by they. I think that's a pretty good answer. I think that's as good of an answer as anybody could give for that. So yeah, that's what I mean by they. I think this is probably a good place to kind of end this. Let's see if there's anything going on Twitter. But yeah, kind of just sitting in the longs for now, waiting for hopefully next take profits. Bitcoin silver. Bitcoin silver, come on. Anyway, this isn't even loading right now, so let's see here. We got that one, still doing okay. I think we'll keep going. One of those nights, but yeah, I'm gonna get going, guys. Check out the exchanges down below, pin chat. I'll see you guys really soon.